Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and four-time author, Tony Walker.
For a financial advisor to say that currently there's a lot of uncertainty out there might just be the understatement of the year. Yet, just in case you haven't noticed, the economy right now is a dumpster fire. Problem is, there are many factors that are contributing to this economic dumpster fire. First, you've got a stock market that, as of the date of this recording, is down more than 20% this year. Second, we have the highest gasoline prices in our nation's history. Third, inflation is at rates not seen since the years of Jimmy Carter. And finally, the usual safe haven utilized by Wall Street to safeguard other people's money, something called bonds, has fallen in value this year about as much as the stock market. So, with both stocks and bonds losing money hand over fist, what safe havens do the folks on Wall Street offer up to savers? So, bottom line, if you're a saver depending on Wall Street to provide a safe haven for your money, good luck with that. The good news is that if you are the saver looking for a safe haven for your money, well, you've come to the right place, because today I'm going to prove to you where this safe haven can be found and why so many people are turning to it for safety and security in retirement. So, where can savers find such a product? Well, let's find out. Well, welcome folks to the Worry-Free Retirement, and yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, safe haven specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And before we get started, let me introduce three safety-conscious folks helping to produce our show today. America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Louisville, Kentucky's most laid-back graphics artist, Mr. Derek Hudson. And finally, our associate producer, Miss Meek and Mild Mary Beth Combs. Okay, you see, historically speaking, in the past, when the stock market is going down, bonds tend to go up. That is, until this year, as we were seeing bond values plummet just like the stock market. I'll have to say it's the first time in my 38 years in this business that both stocks and bonds are going down at the same time, which tosses out this old rule of thumb called diversification. So why are bonds dropping in value faster than you can say the Federal Reserve? Well, it's called interest rate risk, which means that when interest rates go up, which they are, that the value of bonds goes down. Which is why today I'm going to show you a proven financial product that I've used religiously for the past 20 years to avoid both stock market risk and interest rate risk, providing that safe haven that savers are looking for. So if you're a saver with money languishing in the bank, have a 401k or an IRA from a previous employer, or just feel like you need to move some of this money to a safer haven, then we need to talk. Or listen closely. Even if you are still working and contributing to a 401k but are over the age of 59, then stay tuned as I show you how this tried and true safe haven for savers is worth considering. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back. With the uncertainty of the stock market, our nation's debt spiraling out of control, and inflation running rampant, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. My name is Tony Walker, and for over 38 years I've made it my life's mission to help savers worry less about money, and I want to help you too. To speak with me at no cost or obligation, why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or simply call the toll-free number on your screen. Several weeks ago, I asked America's favorite financial sidekick to find me a news clip that was full of gloom and doom, and he stumbled across this one. As we record this show on June 21st, 2022, and the world appearing to be in the end times and all, What does a safe haven for savers really look like? Well, before I can answer that question, we need to define in layman's term what is a safe haven, and to help us, I'm going to ask my Cracker Jack production team to do just that. So, Aaron, how would you define the word haven?
Tony, I don't know. Can't you see I'm a little busy here? Why don't you ask Derek and Mary Beth or something?
That was a lot of help. Thanks a lot, Aaron. I bet Derek can answer that question. Derek? Derek, safe haven?
Yeah, totally, boss.
Oh, gosh. Oh, I know who can answer that question. Mary Beth, can you define safe haven? None of these folks are any help. So, seeing as though they were of no help, let's turn to Webster's dictionary to find the word haven, which simply means harbor, port, a place of safety, refuge, and I like this one, a place or opportunity for favorable opportunities or conditions. The key word here is safety. Let's take a ship sailing the seven seas. In order to not accidentally shipwreck, there is something on the shore called a lighthouse, and it gives the pilot of the boat a reference point as to where the land is and how to safely avoid land or safely approach it. Funny, when writing the script for today's program, due to all the fancy instrumentation found on modern-day boats, the number of lighthouses in this country has dwindled over the years, with only one lighthouse located in Boston somewhere that still has someone manning it. Man, that's got to be the loneliest job on earth.
Man, it is freezing up here. How long are we supposed to stay up here? Hello? This stinks.
So think about your money and your retirement as being out to sea, and the ship you're sailing in is in the hands of a captain who runs into what we would call a perfect storm, which in my opinion, we as a nation are in right now. A perfect storm that includes a falling stock market, rising interest rates, and yes, boatloads of inflation. So assuming I'm the captain of your financial ship, how do we at Tony Walker Financial deal with this perfect storm of destruction? Well, we call it the split IRA, and boy, does it come to the rescue. Last week, we talked about our investment department and Lisa Potter there, and how our Charles Schwab platform is geared towards access of your money and how much money we give back to our clients that's their money. Well, today we're going to go back to our Bowling Green offices and visit with our own Mandy Houchins, who is in charge of all of the annuity department distributions that go to our saver clients. So let's see how Mandy's doing right now. Well, good morning, Mandy.
Good morning, Tony.
Thank you for joining us. We only have a couple of minutes here, so real briefly, tell folks what you do in the annuity department specifically to processing distribution requests from our clients.
Well, my role is to help clients with any service requests. So when they are ready to start that mailbox money or lifetime income, then I assist them with the paperwork and getting that going for them.
Yeah, and you're doing a wonderful job. I know we have a process in place where I'm calling a lot of folks that have had annuities quite a while. And when we actually touch base with them and, see if they need income, many of them say, yeah, I'll take some income. What is the surprise or reaction they have realizing sometimes how much this mailbox money could be?
Well, generally people are surprised that, it's guaranteed for life. Once they start this, those payments never go away. So that's always a high point for most clients when we discuss that. But yeah, realizing how much it's grown and how much they're going to actually get on a monthly basis is pretty exciting for most people.
Yeah, and it's fun to be a part of that, and we're just appreciative of people's business, but we love giving their own money back to them. And then finally, I guess the last month or so, you've got some statistics. How much have we turned on in terms of income coming out of these annuities?
In 1 week, Tony, I submitted 16 requests for different clients, and those requests will then generate over $17,000 a month in guaranteed lifetime income or mailbox money.
Oh, that is awesome. And we sure appreciate all your work you're doing there, Mandy, and you keep up the good work, and we'll keep contacting our clients who've had those annuities in place and seeing if they need that mailbox money. So make it a good one.
Thanks, Tony.
You're welcome. One of the safe havens we use to help our clients reap what they sow is called an annuity. And I've been using these products for years. In fact, in the words of our own Shannon Ross, annuities are
humdinger.
And with stocks and bonds tanking, you might be asking, why doesn't Wall Street offer annuities as a safe haven for their clients? Well, in my estimation, because up until recently, annuities didn't pay to Wall Street recurring fees. That's because the insurance company issuing annuities pay the broker or the agent selling these commissionable products a one-time commission. The agent or broker does not receive a recurring fee. At Tony Walker Financial, we do work both on what we call AUM, assets under management, as well as receiving commissions from the sale of annuities, which gives you, the saver, more times than not, a huge fee savings on your money when you invest at Tony Walker Financial. We do both, as you can see from this graphic on the monitor. The good news is that lately the investors on Wall Street are beginning to acknowledge this safe haven that annuities provide. Check this article out from a Mr. Ibbotson, who's a well-known investor and who is basically saying we've got to give these fixed indexed annuities some stock and play in the action. Because why? Because fixed indexed annuities are not subject to interest rate risk. So what I'm going to do when we come back, I'm going to go to the whiteboard and I'm going to make a detailed comparison of the difference between bonds, which Mr. Ibbotson is using in his comparison, and these newer products called fixed indexed annuities. Good stuff coming your way. We'll get the whiteboard out. I'm Tony Walker. I'll be right back. Who can you trust? It's one of the most important decisions you'll have to make. Question is, are you ready? Well, we're here to help at Tony Walker Financial. You know, we care more about you than we do your money, and we have over 2,000 happy clients and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau to prove it. Rolling over a 401k, confused about Social Security, maybe you're afraid of running out of money. Learn how to use and enjoy and protect your hard-earned money. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. And I mentioned earlier in the show the wonderful staff I have, which right now we're up to 15 full-time employees. That does not count Mr. Aaron Orander and Derek Hudson and full-time employees with Worry-Free Productions. And of course, Mary Beth is helping us out part-time. I wanted to focus on the latest 3 hires at Tony Walker Financial. We have Miss Lisa Potter, who's in the investment department. You heard from Lisa on the Zoom call last week. Our most recent hire, Juanita Jackson, who is helping out Shannon Ross in the investment department. Boy, when I heard Juanita, this is what Shannon spouted off.
Humdinger.
And then finally, we got another male in the Bowling Green office, Mr. Timmy T.J. Reagan. I got to go get Juanita. Derek, I'll be right back. Timmy, thanks again for your help, man.
Timmy? Is your name Timmy?
No, my name's not Timmy. I don't like being called Timmy. I've never been called Timmy.
All right, let's get back to business here. The 3 halves of life. Why is this so important? Well, Derek put this up. This was a comment I had recently from a gentleman. We'll just call him, what do we call this person? Ken in Bowling Green. This happens sometimes, but this one was really emphatic the way he emphasized this. He said, Tony, please tell your audience how important it is to understand your philosophy about the 3 halves of life. For me, it's a game changer. Now, what we're talking about here is this notion, if you think about the 3 halves of life, the idea is when you get into the second half of life, usually around 70, 72, 75 years of age, most people are not spending a lot of money. And this is why Wall Street and many money managers don't want you spending money. They put the fear of you-know-what in you. Nobody ever spends their money. It just keeps growing and growing, and they get their fees on their money. And my point is, what is the point? So what we do at Tony Walker Financial, we recognize that the majority of people will spend less and less money. So what we want is them to enjoy this money at halftime. And for this gentleman, he had never heard of such a thing, and he really bought into the concept. Now, tying to that, the same gentleman, Ken, we'll call him Ken out of Bowling Green, had this to say. After we went through our free assessment and I shared everything I was going to do, he really focused on these annuities. And he said, Tony, these annuities are awesome. I don't want to lose any money. Some of these don't even have any fees. Why are you not recommending that I put 100% of my money in annuities? And I had to tell him as a fiduciary, we just can't do that. So what I would recommend, if you're out there right now and somebody's proposing to throw all of your money into an annuity, please get a second opinion. In fact, this is why I came up with the split IRA concept. It's a concept that allows you to have access to your money through the Charles Schwab platform, but also have that protection and that beloved mailbox money.
Mailbox money!
To make sure you don't run out of money. All right, so how do we do this? Let's get back to this notion of these bonds no longer being a safe haven, but annuities are. Let me make a little comparison between these two. For whatever reason, a lot of people get very confused on bonds and they don't really understand what bonds are. Well, first of all, this is going to be ironic when I share this with you. The annuities offered by insurance companies, which have no interest rate risk. In other words, they cannot go down in value due to the stock market going down or interest rates going up like bonds. So they do not have any risk, but they're investing the majority of their money, listen very closely, into bonds. And you say, but Tony, this makes no sense. How can insurance companies have all these bonds and at the same time, basically, they're not going to lose any money? Well, they put the bonds in what I would call a wrapper, so that if any of these individual bonds go down, it doesn't affect what they've guaranteed in the contract. You see, there's the mistake a lot of people make from Wall Street. They don't understand that annuities are contracts. And thus, because in writing, the insurance company guarantees you won't lose your principal and guarantees that if you ever want a lifetime income through mailbox money, they have to pay it. So again, annuities are protected by bonds, but they're not the same as owning an individual bond. And let me explain. So let's say person A has $100,000 to invest and they want to buy a single bond, and we'll say that bond has a 10-year maturity. Now, what does that really mean? Well, let's say at the time they purchased the bond, maybe the bond yield was 3%, and they bought this bond, let's say they bought it in 2020. Interest rates are very low. The bond was a pretty good bond, and they put $100,000 towards the bond. Now we go out here a couple of years. Here we are in June of 2022, and interest rates are spiking. So let's use this example. So you own a bond that pays 3%. Okay, you put $100,000 in. We fast forward to 2022, and all of a sudden, that looks like a 7, doesn't it, Aaron? There we go. At 2022, all of a sudden, interest rates are going up, and you could go back to that broker or whoever you're going to buy it from, and you could get that same bond with a different issue of 5%. Now, if you've got a bond at 3% and you want out of that bond, well, who's going to pay you full value for a bond at 3% when they can run down the street somewhere else and get one at 5%? I hope you're following me, because this is really, really important what we're getting ready to cover. So now that this gentleman says, oh yeah, I need my money, that bond, I'm just using examples, may only be worth $90,000, because if I'm the buyer of this bond and I know it's only paying 3%, well, I'm not going to pay $100,000 for it. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So the problem is, a lot of people, on paper, this is a loss. This bond is worth $90,000 in this example. Maturity means, though, if you hold on to that bond for the full 10 years, bonds have different maturity dates, for the full 10 years, that means you're actually going to get the original $100,000 back plus the 3% interest. So insurance companies have hundreds and hundreds of different bonds in their portfolios of different maturity rates, mortgages, all that type of thing that are fairly safe on the surface, but we put this annuity wrapper around it. Now, back to Mr. Ibbetson's article regarding fixed indexed annuities. What is a fixed indexed annuity and how do they differ? Well, again, they're backed by bonds. We're going to use a fixed indexed annuity that has a 10-year surrender charge, okay? So a surrender charge on an annuity is really just a protection mechanism for the company. You see, you got to remember, the insurance company has paid me or somebody out there who sold this annuity a commission. Now, that commission is not paid by you out of pocket. It's kind of built into the chassis of the annuity. But here's what can happen. What if you come along, you got $100,000 here, and you need in June this year, you need your $100,000 back. Well, because they've put up all this money to set up the annuity, to pay commissions, they're going to take a big chunk of that back. That's called a surrender charge. Now, if you keep this all the way past the 10 years, same thing with a bond, there is no charge to liquidate it. Oh, and incidentally, a lot of people don't realize this. With most annuities, the majority of annuities, if you were to die during this term, let's say you died in the second year, your beneficiaries will get the full face value. They do usually, most annuities do this, will waive the surrender charge at death. So back to what Mr. Ibbetson's saying. Let's now imagine we got all this volatility. I'll just pick different stages throughout the next 10 years, and it kind of looks like this. Well, folks, if you're at or near retirement, that's pretty sketchy stuff because the stock market, bond market, it's all over the place. So this is why we don't recommend savers put 100% of their money over on Wall Street, because this is what you're going to get. Don't believe me? Just go back and look at the last 10 years of the stock market. So how do these insurance companies, through fixed indexed annuities, protect your money. Well, what they do, when the market goes up, we'll say this is year one. Let's say I'll kind of use red for effect. They'll pay a portion of that gain. And at that point, at the end of year one, let's say they paid 30% of whatever the market made. That's your new floor. This is what's really imperative to keep in mind. Now, when, not if, when the market goes down or bond rates go down, notice that floor is maintained. So whatever you made the prior year is locked in. You can never lose what you just made. Now, here's the beauty of a fixed indexed annuity. Notice with the market going up, it goes up again. And you say, well, how can it go up? Because it catches the market when it's down and automatically goes up when it's up. Again, you would need to see us. We can't give rates of return on this because there's so many different types of annuities. We're just trying to help you understand conceptually what's going on with these fixed indexed annuities. We see another downturn here. You have a new floor. And then finally, it goes up again when the market goes up. And this is why I refer to these fixed indexed annuities, even fixed interest annuities, something I refer to as sleep insurance. Folks, right now as we record this show in June of 2022, there's a lot of uncertainty out there with the stock market and bonds, and a lot of people are going to bed and waking up and they're almost nervous to even look at their accounts or turn on the TV. If you have a fixed annuity, either a fixed interest or fixed indexed annuity through Tony Walker Financial, that's not going to happen. These assets are protected. Now you might say, well, Tony, I know, but you mentioned those surrender charges. I keep hearing about those. How do we avoid those? Well, that's why we don't want to put more than 70% of your overall assets in annuities. We don't want the possibility of getting hit with some large charges. That's where we need to talk. And that's why I've created the split IRA. So the split IRA gives you the best of both worlds. The liquidity and possible growth through the Charles Schwab platform, and then the safety and security that the annuities offer. So if this looks like something you'd like to talk about further, if you're tired of watching the stock market go down faster than you can say Alan Greenspan, then we need to talk, and it's easy to do. So just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and when you get there, you're going to click on that Let's Get Started button. Or if the internet's not convenient and you just want to call us in person, just dial the toll-free number on your screen and ask to speak to one of our salaried fiduciaries or myself. We call it the free 10-minute fiduciary phone call, and if it warrants, we'll be happy to meet with you in person and see how this would fit within your personal situation. Well, does the Bible have anything to say about putting all this money away and others possibly reaping from your money? It sure does. This is some good stuff coming up. Let me get a cup of coffee. You're watching the WorryFree Retirement. I'll be right back.
Now remember folks, when you roll over your 401k with us, you get a 15% bonus. How's that sound?
That sounds too good to be true.
Come on, don't you trust me?
What are your fees?
That is a great question, and we'll get to that after we roll over the 401k.
I think we need to get a second opinion.
Don't get stuck in the wrong annuity. Get a second opinion from TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. Last week on the WorryFree Retirement, we introduced a profound financial truth referred to in the Bible as sowing and reaping, which simply means the more you save and plow away money into your 401k during your working years, the more you should expect to reap from the 401k in your retirement years. Yet there's a problem when it comes to that tax-infested 401k that you've been sowing into all of these years, and it's this. It's not just you who get to reap what you have sowed. It's also a whole group of other folks who get to reap, again, what you've sowed, namely the financial world and Uncle Sam. And yet, in the wisdom of the Bible, we can look at what God has to say about this many times of this sowing and reaping. Let's start with John 4:37 and 38, which simply says, one sows and another reaps. We go to Leviticus 26:20. We see that there are times when only the reapers will get to enjoy what the sowers may be sowing. And the sowers sometimes get nothing at all for their hard work. Job 31:8. and trying to get back in good graces with God, what does he say? Let me sow and another reap. And then finally, we go back a few verses in Leviticus again, and it says that you will sow your seed in vain because your enemies will eat it up. And maybe that's how you feel right now, that all of this sowing of your hard-earned money into that tax-infested and risky 401k plan has been all for naught. The question to ask is, who are the enemies that will get to reap what you have sowed? Well, namely, those enemies are stock market risk, interest rate risk, future tax risk, living too long risk, and finally, not spending this money while you still can risk. So then, Tony, you might ask, how does Tony Walker Financial differ from the rest of the financial world? Well, first of all, we acknowledge that you are the one who did all the sowing, not us. In other words, if it had not been for your hard work in saving and sowing, myself and my staff would not be able to reap what you have sowed. It's another reason that I hire so many good quality staff so that we can be there to service what we sell. And finally, we care about you and your money. We recognize it's your money, and we want to make sure that we get as much of your money back to you when you need it. So you might be sitting there saying, Tony, yeah, how can I reap more of what I've worked so hard to sow? Well, there's only one way to find out. Well, my name is Tony Walker, and for more than 38 years, I've made it my life's work to try to help savers worry less about money and, yes, to reap more of what they have sowed. To learn more about our operation and just to talk to us in person, it's easy to do. All you got to do is log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and click on that Let's Get Started button. Now, recently, we've started something that's really, really powerful, and many people are taking advantage of it. It's called the free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. All you do is log on to the website or call the toll-free number on your screen, and we will arrange a free 10-minute phone call with either myself or one of our highly trained fiduciaries to determine if we can be of help to you. If it looks like we can be of help, then the next step is to set up a no-cost, no-obligation appointment to meet with me in person at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. So take advantage of this free offer. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call the toll-free number on your screen. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program. We look forward to seeing you next week, but you remember, between now and then, if all else fails, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.